I recorded a video recently talking about the big three issues that we see people wrestling with as they come through their divorce. And they were uncertainty, confusion, and also a drop in their self-esteem and their self-confidence. But from a more technical perspective, a more specific perspective, some of the big issues that we see our clients dealing with coming out of the property settlement or even going through it as well are a bit more detailed. Firstly, they have to work out what they're going to do with their superannuation. Superannuation, unless you're over 55, tends to be something that isn't really thought of very much, particularly if you've just been through maybe a contentious family law discussion, or even if you're just trying to work out the other priorities such as kids, where to live, how to split the money, that kind of thing. Superannuation can get put to the side. It is something worth examining, and I believe it should be part of the property negotiation because it can have a different level of importance depending on your stage of life. So it's definitely one thing to look at as well. One of the bigger things is where are you going to live, which parlays into the next one as well, which is how do you actually pay for that lifestyle. Choosing where to live is a really difficult one. We try to keep that decision as rational as possible, but with full appreciation that it is often an emotional choice to maybe not leave the family home for reasons of not disrupting the kids, and also your support network might be in the area, so that can be a really confronting decision. I do want to make or mention a word of caution there is that decision, when it's made for purely emotional reasons, it can have a financial consequence. So it is worth checking that to make sure that while you do want to stay in the home for really valid reasons, what is that actually going to cost you now and over the longer run as well? Like I said, that parlays into the next issue, which we see is how do you afford this lifestyle? Prior to this, you had one family unit that was costing X. You now have two family units that are supporting two sets of living expenses, and your costs are now going to be at least 1.5 to 1 3/4 times X. The thing is, though, is your income levels will not have increased at the same time. So that becomes a really important discussion there that I think both sides should have separately. But for the clients we work with, that we advocate for, it's something we do a lot of work on trying to get an idea of what the budget currently is, what it should be, and how do we actually fund that. And that flows into our really detailed spousal maintenance process, just the whole range of things, because it is all predicated on how are you actually going to afford your new life? How much is it actually going to cost you now in your new life to be you? And these are pretty confronting decisions, but we try to make it as smooth as we can. But that's a really big issue, is how you're actually going to afford your lifestyle. The fourth issue, and here's we're getting probably more into the technical side, taxation issues are pretty common. We encourage you to work with a really good accountant with experience in this space. Capital gains tax might be coming up. Income tax might be another consequence, and we need to have a look at all of that and make sure that you've negotiated or that you've arranged the best after-tax outcome from the property settlement. And probably as a final capstone, the people that we work with, because we think we can add the most value to, are people who are really uncertain during and after the divorce process, and also don't necessarily have a lot of experience in managing their finances. So that lack of experience can trigger a whole bunch of uncertainty, but also fear, or occasionally overconfidence. People often sort of overcompensate and make really confident decisions, thinking that action might lead to really positive consequences, and often it will, but it is something we prefer to see clients have a plan for and have it mapped out. There's a lot to cover. It is a really big time, I don't need to tell you that. I would really encourage you to engage a financial advisor to help you map this out. Particularly for the first 12 months, that can be a really difficult time, and ideally the plan would extend into the next 5 years as well. There's a lot of ground to cover there, but they're the big technical ones that we see. It is really about superannuation, get that sorted, where you're going to live, how you're going to pay for it, and the taxation issues.